say.
The doors are about to open.
Not really her style, and they all got the same heartbeat, but hers is falling behind. Nothing in this world could ever bring them down. Yeah, they're invincible, and she's just in the background. And she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids, like the cool kids. He says I'm talking with a big smile, but they haven't got a clue. Yeah, they're living the good life, can't see what he is going through. They're driving fast cars, but they don't know where they're going. In the fast lane, living life without knowing. And he says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids, like the cool kids. I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to get it. I wish that I could be like the cool kids, like the cool kids. And they said, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I
want that sugar sweet. Don't let nobody touch it unless that somebody's me. I gotta be a man, there ain't no other way. Cause girl, you're hotter than a Southern California day. I don't wanna play no games, you don't gotta be afraid. Don't give me all that shy, no makeup on, that's my sugar. Yes, please. Come and put it down on me. I'm right here, 'cause I need a love, a little sympathy. So baby, just show me good loving, make it alright. Need a little sweetness in my life. Sugar, yes please. Won't you come and put it down on me? Down on me. Yes please. Come and put it down on me. Right here, right here. I need a little sympathy. Show me good loving, make it alright. Need a little sweetness in my life. Sugar, yes please. Won't you come and put it down on me? Down on me.
Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only, all my life.
Take me on a date, I deserve a pay. And don't forget the flowers every anniversary. Cause if you treat me right, I'll be the perfect wife. Buying groceries, buying what you need. You got the 9 to 5, but baby so do I. So don't be thinking I'll be home and making up a past. I never learned to play, but I can find a hook. Sing along with me, sing along with me. Hey, you gotta know how to treat me like a lady. Even when I'm acting crazy, tell me everything's alright. Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only all my life. Dear future husband, if you wanna get that special love, then tell me I'm beautiful each and every night. After every fight, just apologize, and maybe then I'll let you try and rock my body right. Even if I was wrong, you know I'm never wrong. Why disagree? Why disagree? You gotta know how to treat me like a lady. Even when I'm acting crazy, tell me everything's alright. Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only all my life. Dear future husband, make time for me, don't leave me lonely, and no one never see your family more than mine. I'll be sleeping on the left side of the bed. Hey. Open doors for me and you might get some kisses. Don't have a dirty mind, just be a classy guy and buy me a ring, buy me a ring. You gotta know how to treat me like a lady. Even when I'm acting crazy, tell me everything's alright. Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only all my life. Dear future husband, if you wanna get that special love, then tell me I'm beautiful each and every night. Oh, future husband, better love me right. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. You know it used to be mad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Hey, now we got problems, and I don't think we can solve them. You made a really deep cut, and baby, now we got bad blood. Hey, did you have to think we'd be fine. Still got scars on my back from your knife, so don't think it's in the past. These kind of wounds, they last and they last now. Did you think it all through? All these things will catch up to you, and time can heal, but this won't. So if you're coming my way, just don't. Oh, it's so sad to think about the good times, you and I. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. You know it used to be mad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Hey! Now we got problems, and I don't think we can solve them. You made a really deep cut, and baby, now we got bad blood. Hey! Band-aids don't fix bullet holes. You say sorry just for show. If you live like that, you live with ghosts. Band-aids don't fix bullet holes. You say sorry just for show. If you live like that, you live with ghosts. If you love like that, blood runs. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. You know we used to be bad love. So take a look what you've done. 'Cause baby, now we got bad blood. Now we got problems, and I don't think we can solve them. You made a really deep cut, and baby, now we got bad blood. Now we got bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Nutanix CEO, Chairman, and Co-founder, Dheeraj Pandey.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you had a great party last night. It's seeing, probably about 1,500 of you here, or maybe, I know that's still 8 in the morning, but really appreciate everybody coming here. I heard some great feedback from yesterday, and that's what we love actually about this conference, the fact that people come in and they have so much to collaborate with us on. So keep the feedback coming even today, and as we go back from here, it's not at the end of all the discussions and the conversation. This is just the beginning. So really appreciate everything from yesterday, and look forward to a great set of sessions today as well. So as with all companies that aspire to become meaningful and relevant over time, it takes a village. It takes a village to actually build an ecosystem of partners, folks who co-create value for the customers and the partners here as well. And today, for the first 15-20 minutes, we're going to have 3 of our really dear partners come on stage and talk a little bit about the journey itself. So in that vein, I wanted to call one of our really long-term partners for a company that's 7 years of age, probably for half the age of this company, Alan Atkinson from Dell. Please come over, Alan. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. Not a few casualties, I think, from last night.
Yeah, I can see that. Probably it's 8 a.m. in the morning, and it's always hard, especially after you've partied hard last night.
Well, you guys do it right.
So tell us a little bit about the journey itself. I know it's been a few years since we...
I think it's been about 3 years since you and I met, and pretty happy to say we've actually become personal, right? I mean, personal relationships, personal friends. I think I go back 3 years ago, and I've been at Dell 4 years, just to sort of put it in perspective. And we noticed something happening in technology, sort of in that time frame. And it was this, I don't even think it had a name at the time, right? It was this new way of consuming compute and storage in this converged, and now we call it hyper-converged fashion. And we went out and we looked at a number of companies that were playing around with this technology and kind of were introducing products into this space. And, frankly, we found you guys. And it was, I think it was an instant chemistry. We had a similar perspective on the way we were looking at the industry, and we understood just how disruptive that was going to be. And, here we are 3 years later, right? And, thankfully we did that partnership. I think it's been great for both of us.
Yeah, I think it was a serendipity as well. And the fact
300 people at the time. 300 people.
Yeah, we were just 300 people back then, you're right. And the fact that we're 2,000 now, You've come a long way, and I think you've helped build this business as well. So really appreciate everything you've done as well.
Well, thank you.
Tell us about what the customers are saying and what the journey has been like in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think, look, it's been a great partnership in my mind, and I think anybody who looks at it would say that. If you think about it, thousands of nodes shipped, 30 countries, revenue that's, well above expectations, well into the 9 digits, right? Pipeline that's just exploding. And I think it says a lot about your technology, it says a lot about our technology, it says a lot about the partnership, and it says a lot about how this space is changing, right? This is not a zero-sum game, right? This is a radically new way to consume compute and storage. Yeah. And people are flocking to it.
Very interesting term you use about the zero-sum game itself, and the pundits, they'll analyze the heck out of, obviously, the Dell EMC integration and think of this as a zero-sum game. Tell us more about where the future of this partnership is really headed.
Look, first of all, that's a question I get about once an hour when I'm here, right? What's going to happen in this partnership? Yep. Many of you have asked me that question. Many of you have asked me that question at the session I did yesterday. And, look, customers love Nutanix. Customers love Dell. Customers love the Dell XC series, which is Nutanix on Dell. We started out with one product. We've got 7 now, right? And customers want to know what's going to happen in the future. And Dheeraj, I'm thrilled to say that we've reached agreement to extend our OEM relationship, and customers can buy with confidence. We're going forward. We're going to keep growing that. We're going to build on that momentum, and I couldn't be more excited.
So say that again. I think probably the audience will listen. Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Really appreciate the level of confidence that you've actually had in us for the last 3 years, and it's been an emotional last few weeks for the two of us. I mean, we've been talking to Michael on an everyday basis about this agreement, and it takes that kind of a courage and confidence to go and do this without really thinking about this being a zero-sum game. That's the way we actually grow the blast radius of what hyperconverged really means.
Absolutely. We want to win, Dheeraj.
Thank you.
And you're an important part of that.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. So we wanted to start the day with a bang, and obviously a lot of you hopefully will fathom what this really means. The fact that as two partners, we said, you know what, if you don't compete and cooperate and collaborate and cannibalize each other, then we're not going to really survive. And that survival in this industry is all about knowing how to compete with yourself. That's how the NX brand, which is our own appliance form factor, competes with the Dell XC brand, competes with the Lenovo brand. And in the next 5 minutes, you'll actually hear us talk about Lenovo as well. But before we get there, let's bring on stage one of the people that I've actually at least heard a lot about, but would love to have him come and talk about their journey to the cloud. Jeffrey Snover from Microsoft. So, Jeffrey, this has been a journey for you as well at Microsoft.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure the audience would love to hear how companies transform from delivering on-premise software to go on to really deliver things in the cloud, and how the culture really moves from one to the other. And not just the culture for the consumers, but the culture of developers who actually go on to really do DevOps, carry pagers, and so on.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a time of great change. And indeed, when times of great change, can we go back one? Sorry. In times of great change, it's important, in times of great change, there are new winners and there are new losers. So in times of great change, it's very important to pay attention and to make smart choices. So what we're seeing in the marketplace is that business is moving faster today than ever before. And yet there's this conflict between the needs of the business and the comfort zone of IT. Business needs to move fast, right? It needs to be able to respond to changing market dynamics. It needs to listen to customers, respond to those customers, deploy new applications and features as quickly as possible. And yet, IT's comfort zone is a world of stability and predictability. And so there's a natural tension between these two forces. We believe that the cloud is the way that solves this tension. The cloud enables IT to have the stability and predictability they require while giving the businesses the agility and the ability to innovate at rapid cloud pace. The cloud, however, is not a place. The cloud is a model. The cloud is not a place, it's a model. If you think about the traditional model was one where we had well-defined, dedicated infrastructure for each application. We had purpose-built hardware. We had customized procedures and configurations for each applications. Virtualization did not change this model. Virtualization improved this model. It made it more agile and more efficient, but it did not change the model. The cloud is a new model. The cloud leverages the magic of software to be able to provide substantially greater reliability, availability, and scalability at dramatically lower costs. How does it achieve that? It does so by leveraging new software architectures, running on industry standard hardware, and using standardized operations and configurations. Now, these are two very different models, but it is not an either-or world. We believe that most people that deploy the cloud will also continue to deploy the traditional model, however, using virtualization. So we believe that it is not an either-or world. Now, one of the reasons why people will continue to deploy virtualization is because of complexity. The cloud is complex. There are environmental complexities, there are technological complexities, right? Now just think about Microsoft. Azure, right? So Microsoft, just to put this in perspective, next year Microsoft will earn over $100 billion. Okay, $100 billion. And the cloud is absolutely core to our future. Microsoft is scouring the earth trying to find the world's best software talent to hire to run Azure. And those people are working night and day and weekends, and we are still tweaking to make the cloud successful. The cloud can be very complex. So what are the chances an average IT shop is going to be successful implementing the cloud on their own? The answer is we have some data on this. Studies have shown that over 80% of private cloud implementations are failures. So how is it that we're going to succeed with the cloud? Well, together, Microsoft and Nutanix are going to dramatically simplify deploying the cloud to make customers successful. Let me step back and tell you why I think this is going to happen. I'm going to give you a little history about Windows and the evolution. If you think about Windows, you can break it down into 4 distinct eras. Now, prior to Windows NT, server computing was really the domain of the princes and the high priests of technology. Those were the only people who could really run servers. Both Windows NT, we transformed the world. We took a great kernel, we took a great desktop experience, put them together, ran them on industry standard hardware, and produced what is called the server for the masses. With this era, now everyone could buy, deploy, and operate their own server. Transform the world. Transform the world. This then brought about, there were so many of those things, it produced a new era. And that's the era of enterprise servers, right? With enterprise servers in Windows 2000, we added Active Directory and group policy, and all of a sudden customers could deploy lots of servers and lots of clients and manage them in a coherent way. When we added Windows Server 2003 and .NET, we created the line of business application explosion. Now everyone, again, democratizing something that was really the elite, could only be done by the elites. Now with .NET, everyone could write and run their own mission-critical line of business applications. There were so many of those, it brought about the third era of Windows computing, and that is the data center era. And the data center era is where we made the big shift. Prior to this, everything was done with a local GUI or with RDPing into an individual server. With the data center era, that technology wouldn't work anymore. And so we invented PowerShell, and we got great at automation, and we improved virtualization, and we could have scale-up architectures and scale-out architectures, transformed the data center. This was the technology, Windows Server 2008, 2012, and 2012 R2, that allowed Azure to be born. Okay? So now what we're doing is that brought about the latest era of computing. That is cloud computing. We are taking the lessons and the technology that we learned from Azure, and now we're making them available to everyone. We're putting that into Windows Server 2016, and that is the operating system that is the foundation for all of our clouds: public cloud, private cloud, hosted cloud. And we're taking that and we're putting it into our, we're producing solutions, cloud platform solutions with Nutanix. So we have both the operating system and the solution. And once again, what we're doing here is with these solutions, we are once again democratizing the technology, something that could only be done by the princes and the high priests. Now we'll have cloud for the masses. Cloud Platform Solution, or CPS, is Microsoft's Azure consistent technology that allows you to run virtualized workloads. Nutanix offers you the ability to take public cloud infrastructure and run that in your data center. Together, these produce a great solution, great first step on your journey to the cloud. Cloud Platform Solution is Microsoft's proven data center technology stack. So we have Windows Server, System Center, Azure PAC, and connected up to Azure Storage. And on this combination of great software and great infrastructure, you can run your existing workloads. So Exchange, SharePoint, SQL Server, Dynamics, and many others you'll be able to run on this with an Azure consistent experience. So I started this conversation saying that in times of great change, it's important to be smart and make good decisions, because there are going to be new winners and new losers, and your choices will affect which one you will be. So the key question you need to ask yourself is, where are we going? Are you going to stay in the era of server for the masses? Are you going to stay in the enterprise era? Or are you going to move to the cloud? Are you going to run virtualized instances on cloud infrastructure or move to the cloud model? Because if you are, it's important to realize that there are various partners and platforms that are of an era. They came out during an era, they did great, but then when there was a change, they didn't make the change, and we've never heard from them again. Okay? So if you're going to run virtualized workloads on cloud infrastructure or you're moving to a cloud model, you need to make sure that you have the right partners and the right platform to do so. Nutanix and Microsoft are the right partners to bring you to the cloud, and CPS Standard running on Nutanix is the right platform to begin your journey to the cloud.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you for talking about the staying power and longevity that it takes to really get this done. I have one last question before you actually step away. Tell us about the transformation that happened for the developers as they were shipping things on-premise to going and doing things every 15 days. As they were really doing this in a DevOps model, in a continuous integration fashion.
Well, the first thing to realize is that it's a continuing basis, right? So we have some teams that have been doing that for years, some teams that are just starting to do that now. And by and far, it's been a great experience. You know, of course, there's the, wait, you mean I've got a pager and someone's going to call me? Satya Nadella, our fantastic CEO, has this great phrase. He says, yeah, it just turns out that when you put a pager on a developer's belt, his software gets better. And it's so true. When you develop a service, you get much closer to your customer. you do have to do that. And so diagnostics get better, supportability gets better, and you develop greater customer empathy. You really realize the faces behind things. Back in the day, you'd just write software, it would eventually produce a CD that eventually someone would buy, and the customer usage was pretty distant. Now it's very immediate. And
yeah, they call it the obsession for the front line. Yesterday I talked about some of this stuff. I think we'll have a ton to learn from your developers as well and how they actually transition from really doing on-premise stuff to doing services. Thanks again for coming here. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jeffrey Snover. And as you can see, I think companies actually go through this transformation of shipping things on-prem to really doing things in services. I have a ton of respect for other companies like that, like Adobe and even Oracle doing this in the last 2-3 years as well. Every company that needs to have longevity, that wants to stay relevant for the next 10 years, needs to go through the transformation that Microsoft just went through in the last 5-7 years itself. Now, I was just thinking about what partner other than Microsoft has really brought Dell and Lenovo together in the same conference. It's been Microsoft all this while. And we aspire to be another such partner that can bring Dell and Lenovo to the same stage, in the same conference. And in that vein, I would love to actually get our partner from Lenovo, Radhika, on stage. Radhika, please come on board. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, Radhika. I know we met yesterday for the first time.
That's
but,
right.
I know you've done a lot of stuff at HP and NetApp and Cisco in the past, so you really have an experience from networking, storage, and servers as well. So it looks like it was just befitting for you to really take over the converged solutions, converged infrastructure position at Lenovo itself.
Yeah, that's right, Dheeraj. There is definitely, as everybody talked about today, there is a big transformation happening in the industry, which is this consolidation of storage, compute, and networking to deliver higher levels of efficiency. And it's great to be at the cusp of all that. We believe Lenovo is particularly well poised to take advantage of this inflection. We have no legacy business. We have disrupted the PC industry in the past, and we're looking forward to doing that in the enterprise space as well.
Yeah, in fact, I was learning about Lenovo about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And there were some great statistics that at least people talked about, how it took the IBM ThinkPad business about 10 years ago and made it better quality and reduced manufacturing costs as well.
Exactly.
Looks like there was a similar handoff that happened from IBM about 24 months ago, right? But with the series System X itself.
Yeah, that is exactly right. So Lenovo acquired the IBM x86 assets about 24 months ago, and it's been well assimilated now. We're actually looking to take this to the next level. So, obviously there's been a lot of talk about next generation IT, hyperconvergence being a key ingredient of that. But there is clearly a lot of focus around ensuring that we're delivering that kind of cloud economics, the speed, the agility that the customers are looking for.
Yeah. I think just like every large company, Lenovo is going through a big transformation as well. I hear there are like 2 headquarters, one in Beijing and the other one is Morristown in North Carolina.
That is right. Actually, we're headquartered in 2 continents. One in Beijing, as you rightly pointed out, another in Morrisville and in Raleigh in the RTP area.
And how are the cultures really assimilating? How the IBM culture and the Lenovo culture coming together?
It's actually very interesting because I believe IBM brings a very rich heritage of innovation. Lenovo brings a great culture of execution. And so we've been able to leverage the pros of both. And what you see really is, you talked about insurgent forces yesterday. And that's what you really see within Lenovo. It's that hunger to win. It's that desire to succeed.
So tell us about the last 2 quarters. We've been doing business for the last couple of quarters ever since we announced our partnership. How did the thing look like, and where do you see the future going from here?
There has been an amazing amount of traction, Dheeraj. I'll say that. Just in the last 6 months we've been in the market, we've seen a huge amount of interest from customers on a worldwide basis. We have now earned customers across the globe, some of them fairly large enterprise customers as well. And the real value proposition, if you talk to them, if you dig deeper into what the motivation is to buy the Lenovo HX platform, oftentimes what we hear is they like the innovation, the value that the Nutanix software brings, and the reliability and the manageability advantages that the Lenovo platform provides. So just as an example, we have some fairly large customers here in the US. There's a large cable company that bought into our value proposition. We have several large financial services customers in Asia Pacific as well that truly see much lower TCO with the hyperconverged Lenovo offering compared to legacy platforms, the piecemeal storage plus compute that they used to deploy before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the first 2 quarters, and it was so reminiscent of the way we went to the first 2 quarters of Dell as well. So thank you again for the journey, the partnership, and looking forward to a great partnership. Thank you so much, Radhika. So with that, I come to one of my favorite sections for the day. The person that I've learned so much from, Mark Leslie. I met him 6 years ago in August of 2010. And he has been a great force for this company. And it's really a force who's helped us gain courage and think about disrupting large incumbents. I think one of the people that I have personally really learned from, and I'm so indebted to, I mean, whenever there's been a question about should we go and do something that's as big, as risky, and so on, Mark has been that source of strength for me personally as well. So without further ado, Mark Leslie. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. And Mark needs no introduction, but I'm sure we can talk about Mark being the co-founder and CEO of Veritas, which has its arc of its own life now, looks like, as a separate company. And you're also one of the first board members at VMware as well.
Yes.
And from what legend might have it, there was also some talk of Veritas acquiring VMware in the very early days.
Yes, there was.
Wow. So, Mark was going to talk about the arc of life, how companies really disrupt themselves and go on and do to second and third and fourth acts. So thanks, Mark, for doing this.
So I've been in the technology business longer than most of you have been alive. I've been in the technology business for 50 years. I joined the technology business in 1966, joined IBM at that time. And over the years, I kind of observed companies come and go. And as you see companies come and go, sometimes companies endure. Sometimes they stay, they live on, not just live on, but they live on being relevant. Now, Dheeraj mentions that I teach at Stanford, and one of the things that you do when you teach is people ask you questions, and you need to explain things to people, and when you explain things to people, you rephrase it 52 times, and you keep trying to add something to it, and sometimes out of that falls an idea that you can kind of put into a framework, and that's kind of what we have today. And so this presentation is about how do you build, not how do you build a company, but how do you build a company that sustains, that endures, that stays over time. So we look at the corporate life cycle. This is the good part over here. You have a startup. You have this, typically very high growth stage. You have this early maturation, and then companies move into the dark side, late maturation, decline, and death. And we've all seen companies come and go and die. So one of the variables that matters here is time. Some companies come and go in the blink of an eye, and some companies take 100 years to come and go. But companies tend to come and go. And they come and go, the thing that drives this thing is market forces. That would be something like Uber and taxis being disrupted by Uber. Political climates, things like the tobacco industry was profoundly changed to the political climate in the United States. Economics, the Great Recession of 2007 and the crash of Lehman changed the life of a lot of companies, particularly in the financial industry. And popular trends. One of the trends that we see every day in our life is mobile versus desktop and web. And we've seen that be a consumer-driven choice that has changed the industry. So all of these things happen, and over time, they affect companies. So many companies traverse the arc of life. Let's talk about, first of all, Kodak and Polaroid. There was never a time, there was never a place you could go on this globe that you couldn't find a little kiosk with some little yellow boxes, you know, from Kodak. Kodak figured out all the things to do with digital photography before anybody else in the industry. They had all of the patents, they had all the inventions, and they died. And they died a kind of a very ugly death. They couldn't even sell their patent portfolio. And Polaroid was, of course, put out of business by the fact that, you know, the one thing they had in life was instantaneousness, and that got also subverted by the digital revolution. And these companies did not survive. They just basically went over to the dark side and to death. But they're not alone. They've got a lot of company out there. There's a lot of names that you guys, probably a lot of you guys have worked for these companies. You know, they've come and gone. If I had a slide that was 10 times the size, I could fill it up with names. I promise you that. So some companies actually transform. And that's kind of an interesting thing. Some companies actually survive. And I picked Nokia as kind of an interesting case. They began as a paper mill in Finland in 1871. So they're 150 years old. They evolved into a rubber manufacturer. They evolved into the telecom market. I don't know how you get from paper to rubber to telecom, but whatever. They entered the mobile, they entered and came to dominate the mobile phone business. So they had these amazing transformations. And they built this really, really big and successful company. And after a catastrophic loss in mobile phones, as it changed to smartphones, they ended up selling the division to Microsoft. Now, the interesting question is with their culture. This is a deeply embedded culture of 150 years, a culture of transformation. Will they and can they actually transform and rise again? And so this is a company that I'm going to go, you know, kind of keep my eye on and see what happens to them. And I'm hopeful that they'll find a new way to do this. So one of the things that's going, and one of the things in the world we live in today, that time is compressed. You know, it's kind of like the theory of relativity. The faster you go, it actually compresses time, right? And the life cycles of these companies are now compressed. You know, you could used to be able to build a company and have a 50-year lifespan. That doesn't happen anymore. Very, very rapid technological change. You know all this stuff: computers, robots, cloud, big data, deep learning, all kinds of things. There's 50 more, you know, items we could put there. Very, very rapid innovation in business models. One of the revolutions that's going on today is that people are taking really, you know, technology has now become very simple to do and applying it to old businesses and disrupting them in new ways. Uber, Airbnb, these are really interesting examples of those things. And I would say that only the paranoid, and more importantly, only those who transform will survive. You have to both be paranoid and be willing to actually do something about it. So how do you create a new opportunity? You have this little life cycle in front of you, and you're sitting there and looking at it, and what you have to do, my experience personally, is you have to go build a new arc. And building a new arc means that you have to go take some risk, and you have to do some new things, and you have to transform in ways that oftentimes are uncomfortable. There is a sweet spot of optionality. And when I was developing this idea, an idea like this, you know, I probably spent 3 years thinking about this. And one of the things that I came away is you know, one of the most important insights is there actually is a sweet spot. The sweet spot says that you can look at a point of maximum optionality. And what we mean by maximum optionality, if you look at the point in time when you're least likely to be thinking about it, least likely to do anything about it, is the time when everything is going great. You know, you're growing, you're making money, you're hot, you know, you look like Nutanix looked this morning, right? We saw all these great partnerships and everything like that. That's the time to actually be thinking about who you're going to be in 5, 7, 9, 10 years from now. That's the best time to do it. And as you move away from this maximum point of maximum optionality, it gets harder and harder and harder. So when you're a startup, you can only do one thing. You either live or die in that one thing. And as you start to mature as a company, it becomes harder and harder to do it. And once you get to the downside, once you get to the dark side, once you get to the decline and death, there's no resources. There's no money. There's no human resources. There's no reputation. There's no currency to buy other companies. There's nothing. You have no resources, and you're basically laying off people and shutting factories and things like that. So suggest a successful transformation strategy can actually create a new growth strategy. So you not only go do it once, but you do it more than once. And if you make that who you are, if you make that your identity, then you have the opportunity to create a brand new trajectory for your company. Now let's look at some examples. Oracle is a truly, you know, I spent a lot of time like doing the survey and thinking about companies and said, who's a poster child for this? And Oracle is a great example of this. A very strategically driven company. So it was founded as a company called Software Development Laboratories. They spent a lot of time consulting, looking for product market fit. They ended up in the early 1980s in the relational database wars between them and about 5 other companies. And their strategy was to be on every platform and therefore to go capture what was called the ISVs at that point in time, people who then built on top of their stuff. And it was a very, very successful strategy. If you look at their arc, they were in the database business. They were successful. They vanquished their competition. They became dominant. And then they looked around and said, so now what? Where to from here, right? And they basically decided to get into the client-server ERP applications business. Now, this is an interesting decision they made because this is the business that drove their business. They basically declared war on all the people that were pulling them in the market. They declared war on SAP, on PeopleSoft, on Siebel. They declared war on all these guys and said, we're going to go do what you do, and we're going to use our own database, even the ones you're using, right? So this was an extraordinarily courageous thing to do. This was tremendously risky and tremendously courageous, and they won. They then went and did a hostile takeover of PeopleSoft. They did a roll-up of the enterprise applications. They really changed the kind of character of our industry by doing so. It was the first time there was ever a hostile takeover in Silicon Valley. And they kind of rolled up this whole thing. Now, Oracle at the time they did this, had never actually bought anything. They spent 25 years never buying anything. And then they rolled up the entire industry. They went on to do an acquisition of Sun Microsystems in the hardware business and became a full systems manufacturer. And today they are, of course, driving into the cloud like everybody else. So if you look at Oracle, they really had like at least 5 transformations. And as a result of that, they are a relevant, important, meaningful company in the world today. Little sidebar, Sun Microsystems, I just mentioned them. They were in the workstation business. They went into the file server business. They went into the dot and the .com business. They went into the mainframe replacement business. This is a great company. And then they had an opportunity to transform themselves into a software company. They had the best operating system software in the world. And if they had said, okay, instead of being, flogging our hardware, we're going to go out and make our software the best there is, their version of Unix, there'd be no Linux today. So they basically missed the opportunity to make another transformation, and they went over the edge. One more, little picture of arcs of life. We look at Amazon, paper books to ebooks and readers to all products to merchants to other devices, things like Kindle Fires and Echoes, and finally to Amazon Web Services. I mean, an amazing company in terms of the new businesses they've gone into and the things they've done. And of course, this comes from my own kind of background. At Veritas, we were a company that was transformative. And the reason I was able to see this is because I actually lived this. So Veritas was a startup in a different business, and I was on the board of that company and stepped in as CEO of the transformed company, the new company. Went from being a systems manufacturer of fault-tolerant systems to a software systems company in 1989. It was a restart. We had some great years in that business. In 1997, we entered the backup market for the first time. And that was, for us, a courageous move. We acquired a company of equal size, gave away a third of our shares. We're a public company. As a little sidebar, our Wall Street thought it was a terrible idea, and our stock went down by 65%. But after we were 36, they were 36 million. We put the two companies together. We shed 20 million. But we finished the year at 120, so we were right on that. We transformed the company again. We were a pure Unix company, went into the NT market in 1999 through another very, very risky acquisition. And I left the company at the end of 2001. We were $1.5 billion at that point in time. If you look at the life of Veritas, it's noteworthy that it took us 7 years to get to 36 million. And it took us 5 more years to get to $1.5 billion. So it was and that was in this kind of transformation mode that we were in. And I have two pictures over here. The picture of Veritas on the right, that was our original logo. And then on the lower left, Veritas has reemerged now, and they have a new logo. And I actually like the new logo better than the old logo. So there you go. So this is all about leadership. What makes a company, go one way or the other way? It's all about leadership. And it's about the style of leadership of the CEO. And I think there's two styles. I think there's a style called operationally driven. It's about operational excellence, efficiency, consistency, process, being relatively risk averse, what we call a professional manager. And one of the things about professional managers, they tend to have a short time window. If you go look at many companies that have succession plans, they basically have a CEO, they groom somebody, that person becomes the CEO, and their horizon is 5 years, 7 years, and then there's going to be someone else to take over after them, maybe 10 years. They don't really think of it the way Larry Ellison thinks of it. Larry Ellison thinks of Oracle as a lifetime venture. He thinks of it as he is Oracle, Oracle is him. And professional managers don't think that way. And so they are what I call operationally driven. Then we have opportunity-driven managers, leaders, CEOs, visionaries, driven, creative, willing to take risks that are thoughtful and prudent, entrepreneurial, and they want to build a legacy. They want to see, for better or worse, they want to see their name up in lights. They want to get credit for the creation of something that lives beyond them. And maybe it's narcissistic, but it is part of the drive of these people. So what can we do? How can we have impact on the world? If you're a board of directors, that's typical board of directors over there. You guys know what a board of directors looks like, right? I see you go walk in the room, that's what they look like, right? So if you're a board of directors, you want to have a CEO succession that you want to consider the future direction of the company. Is it a company that you want transformation, or is it a company that you want consolidation? Now, some companies might be kind of like really messy, and you need someone to kind of get order and stuff like that. If you want to, if transformation, you may want to hire from the outside rather than the inside, and seek a transformative leader. You probably want to take some risk there. You want to establish a long-term strategic plan for transformation, that you make this central to who you are, that we're going to transform the company. You want to keep your cash. I'm going to get back to this in a second. And when making bold moves, you want to stay the course. I was just listening this morning when Microsoft was up on stage, and they make the observation that Microsoft is a perfect example of leadership styles. Bill Gates was an entrepreneur-driven, legacy-driven guy. I would call Steve Ballmer a professional manager. Let's just keep the ball rolling and make one quarter after the next. And there really wasn't much that happened over there. And I think under Satya Nadella, I think this company is resurgent now. I think they are actually doing things that we have not seen before. And I'm very, very optimistic about their future at this point in time. And I'm glad it wasn't too late. It looked like it was too late, but actually you can make a difference. Now, let me get back to keeping your cash for a second. We live in a world today with what we call activist investors. And when an activist investor shows up on your doorstep, what they really want to do is either sell the company or take your cash. I'm here to tell you there are no investors out there. There are traders. Every person that calls himself an investor keeps one finger on the sell button. And anytime he decides he doesn't like it, he hits the button and he's gone. So when an activist investor comes in and they want to come in and take your cash, they basically say, okay, you're going to do a share buyback. The stock's going to go pop a little bit. You're going to get rid of your cash. And when the stock pops, we're going to hit the sell button and leave. And what you've accomplished at that point is you've given away your optionality. Cash equals optionality. Cash equals the opportunity to do things that you couldn't otherwise do. And you can't give away your cash. So I am a very, very negative on this active investor in this whole kind of world that we live in today of short-termism. You're a CEO. You are the steward of the future. You own the future of the company. The investors don't. The investors buy and sell shares, and they hope to make some money on it. But you're the one that has to worry about making the quarter, not this quarter, not next quarter. But I spent, many, many years as a public company CEO, and if you don't worry about making the quarter in 5 years from now, you will not make that quarter. So you are the steward of the future, and you have to worry about that. Now, what can you do as an executive team? Now, you notice the picture of the executive team here. These are the superheroes. Establish a 5-year quantum leap strategic plan. I'm a big believer in strategic plans. You have a strategic plan. It informs your local decisions. When you have a vision of the future and you know where you're going, every day when you make decisions, you can make them that are a little bit more consistent with that future than without. So you have to kind of have a picture of the future that has meaning to you. Evangelize the vision throughout the company at every opportunity. You have to get everybody on board. You have to get everybody singing from the same hymnal. Encourage autonomous decision-making and experimentation. You have to make it high reward and low risk to take risk. So at Veritas, we used to, when we wanted to do something that was risky, we used to pull together a team of engineers and marketing and sales and whatever, and say, we're going to go try and do this thing. We don't know how it's going to work out. We're going to ask you guys to step up and do it. We're calling it an experiment. We're going to sit down in a year from now with you guys in the room, and we're going to decide whether the experiment worked or not. And whether it did or it didn't, you will be rewarded for having done this. That's kind of a mentality about getting people to step up and take risks. And you need to create a culture that wants to conquer the world. You don't want a culture that wants to just do the next thing. You need a culture that says, we want to go build something great. We want to go conquer the world. My last slide over here, I want to leave you with a thought. There is no finish line. And what I mean by this is that I always had this illusion. I've been in the technology business for 50 years. I was a CEO for 21 years. I've been retired for 16 years. But I always had this idea that there was this place that once we get there, it's kind of going to be easy. Everything's going to work out okay. We're going to get all these problems today behind us, and then we're going to get to this place. It's going to be green and beautiful, and there are going to be flowers, and we're going to be able to sit back in the hammock, we're going to be able to have a drink, and we're just going to take it easy. I never got there. And what we do is we live in this world where there's always the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And when the problems you have today and the opportunities you have today are behind you, there's new problems and new opportunities. There is no finish line. It is and it's not bad. It's a good thing. I mean, I always found running a company to be relentless, but very, very addictive. You really kind of get high on this whole thing. But there's no finish line. So as you think of yourself and your company, there's no there. You're going to have to go worry about building this company over the long term and being able to create value for your employees, for your investors, for yourself, or whatever. So with that, I would like to take the opportunity to say I am greatly appreciative of being here. It's been a privilege to be associated with Nutanix, and thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Dheeraj Pandey, along with Julie O'Brien, Ben Wu, and Glenn Allison.
Really appreciate it.
Good morning. Starting to see slightly fuller rooms. That's good. People are getting their coffee going and getting excited about being back here. Why don't we move on over just so we're not tucked behind the podium. So what we wanted to do for the next 5 to 7 minutes is actually introduce something that's new here for .next. For the first time, we have actually built and created an award category to recognize all of the thought leadership and innovation that's happening out here with all of you. And so we have 5 categories that we're going to be unveiling, both the finalists as well as the winners for these awards. We're very lucky to have 2 of our judges with us on stage, so Glenn Allison and Ben Wu. And maybe if you could just take a moment to just sort of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what it was like to be part of a judging process, that'd be great.
Sure. So, hi everybody. I'm Glenn Allison with Tractor Supply Company. We've got a little over 1,500 stores throughout the United States, quickly growing and leveraging Nutanix to help support the growth at the company towards 2,500 stores. And it's exciting to be part of here. This is my first .next. Last year I followed the hashtag NextConf. It was really exciting announcements, and it's great to be here.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Belated happy birthday as well, by the way.
Thank you. Yes, and I turned 40 this week.
Woohoo! Congratulations. Happy birthday. Okay, and Ben?
Hi, I'm Ben Wu. I am Managing Director of Neuralytics. We're a market research firm that's focused on helping end users think about understand and take on the digital transformation. This judging process was a really fun process for us. There were some great entries, and what it shows is that Nutanix customers are really making a difference for their companies and having great results on the bottom line, productivity, as well as their ability to move towards that digital transformation.
Thank you. Yeah, and we wanted to make sure that we had a kind of representative of the customer community as part of a judging process, as well as an industry analyst who's looking at the market and looking at trends. So thanks again for both of you for spending the time. I know it was tough. We had a lot of great submissions, so I encourage all of you who maybe didn't take advantage of it this year to be thinking about what your submission is going to look like next year. So we'll go ahead, and the first category that we have is the Public Sector Award. And so you can see the finalists that are here: Randy Steiner, Director of Solutions, Secretary of Defense. We have Thomas Sasala, Chief Technology Officer of the Pentagon, and John Walton, CIO, County of San Mateo. And our winner is Thomas Sasala, CTO, Pentagon. Chris Howard, are you out there? All right. I know Thomas couldn't make it today, so it looks like we will accept that award and ship it back for him. He's clearly doing some really top secret federal activities right now, so probably all happy about that. Okay, so then our next category is the Champion Award. Again, we had some really, really great submissions here. So Jonathan Seat, the IT architect for Nutanix, Jeff Babcock, who's the manager of IT infrastructure and security for Empire Life, and then Arun Goraprasad, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, manager QA critical facilities for Toyota. And our winner is Jeff Babcock. Come on up. Thank you very much. Shake hands and get you your, there you go.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Can you just stop for 1 second? Smile at the camera. All right, congratulations. Awesome. Okay, our next category was the disruptor category. I know we have a lot of disruptors in the audience, so this is a really, really tough one to choose. So, oops, sorry. So here we have Alan Feltz, Manager Operations and Support for Talit Crossbridge, William Beckett, Systems Engineer for Fallamont Transport, and BJ Samuel, Director, IT Cardalytics. Really loving that drum roll. And our winner is Biju Samuel, Director, IT Cardalytics. Come on up.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, quick photo. All right, thank you very much. Okay, our fourth category. And again, this one was also really difficult. I know you were looking at this one.
Yeah, so it was really exciting. So there was a number of submissions for the Innovation Award. And one of the things I would say is it was really exciting to see innovation that's occurring across a bunch of different industries. And it also gave kind of me some ideas that we could take back Tractor Supply.
Awesome. All right, so let's take a look at who the finalists were for the Industry Innovator Award. Matt Day, IT Manager, Lang's Building Supplies. Tim Jones, IT Director for Blue Springs School District, and Malin Samant, Director of Infrastructure Services for Bergen County College. Thank you for that drum roll. And the winner is Matt Day, IT Manager, Lang's Building Supplies. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Fantastic.
I want to also call out, so Matt was apparently there was a big soccer game for Australia last night,
right.
like 3 a.m. So a special call out to Matt for being here in this general session.
It's a long walk across that stage too, right? Excuse me. Okay, so our last category was for the Elevate IT CIO Award. And as you can imagine, we have a number of leaders here in the audience who are part of Newton Nation that are really driving disruption, innovation, and leadership. So again, this was another really tough category for us. So our last category to announce, Elevate IT Awards, the finalists go to Mark Hindle, Head of Technology and Chief Information Officer, Relationships Australia, NSW, Chris Kate, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer of Cox Target Media, Kelly Michael, Vice President, Sales and Service of Charter, and John Mason, CIO, Bottom Line Technologies. And our winner is, for this award, John Mason, CIO, Bottom Line Technologies. Come on up. Perfect. It's smart. Thank you. Let me grab your award real quick.
John, in the meanwhile, just say a few words about the journey itself. Yeah. It is working.
Can we get John's mic on, please? Let's try again.
Is it working?
Not yet. Just talk loud.
This is
Here
it.
we go.
Make this work.
So I was saying we've been doing this a long time. We're a very early customer for Nutanix, and we've been challenging them for features and functionality right from the start.
Yeah, more than 2 years now.
More than 4.
More than 4. Wow. Time passes.
As a customer in the financial industry, regulations are very important to us. Security is very important to us. growing company. We really wanted more. You guys continue to deliver that, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, John. And there's one more thing I would like to add about this experience as well, is that there's something we said about staying power. The fact that we messed up at Bottomline probably 8-9 months ago with this hardware lockup issue, which was really a firmware bug that finally we got to, and Sunil talked about this yesterday as well, and the fact that our support team and everything else that worked together with you, and to see you here is just extremely lifelike. So thanks again for everything that you've done.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to all of our finalists and award winners. Thank you so much.
Top-notch engineers from Nutanix working shoulder to shoulder with my people.
At Tractor Supply, how we look at our vendor community is more on partnerships, and what Nutanix brings to that partnership is really a focus on innovation, teamwork, and treating us like we're a part of their business.
Naxec is constantly pushing boundary on the technology it uses. We look for partners that would embrace that, to work with us, to develop and grow together.
You know, we're looking for that long-term relationship, and that's what we found with Nutanix.
Nutanix gets it. They understand the evolution of what it means to go from the virtualized to now the cloud space in your own environments where you can manage it and you can expand it and scale it.
The enterprise cloud platform truly gives us the best of both worlds. We can gain the efficiencies of web scale within our existing data centers, but at the same time, the ability to scale, and the ability to scale for growth.
Nutanix is a great example of a disruptor that changed the game. They took legacy ways to do things and evolved those into a virtual world that is completely simple and free of complexity.
With Nutanix AHV, it was the only solution that was able to give us this agility and ease of management all in one box. The virtualization and virtualization management is so easy that I could give an iPad to my kids and they would be able to manage the VM in our data centers.
Our efficiency gains are probably, from my perspective, it's got to be higher than 50. It's 80-90% of what I used to do is I don't have to do it anymore. I just don't. Now that it's been about 3 years, I sleep well at night. I trust it.
I'm not sure I can imagine life now in my organization without Nutanix, because the benefits and an easy way to do IT is huge.
Nutanix does not have an equal in their deployment environment right now. It can't be beat. You just can't do it that fast. I haven't seen another vendor match that.
I will never go back to traditional computing and storage.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our CIO panel. Senior Vice President, Technology Infrastructure, Northern Trust, Vijay Luthra. CIO of Bottomline Technologies, John Mason. Tractor Supply Company Vice President of Enterprise Architecture, Glenn Allison. CIO of NASDAQ, Brad Peterson. And moderating, Deals Reporter, Bloomberg News, Alex Barinka.
Hey everyone, thank you for being with us. I know it is early, and I did hear that the party was great last night, so glad to see an audience here to hear our wonderful execs up here chat with us. So earlier, Jeffrey from Microsoft said, you know, it used to be a little bit hard to get technology rolling until you could slap a pager on someone's belt. That's when stuff started going. So I want a show of hands from the audience. How many of you are the ones who get that page, or these days text or phone call, when the you-know-what hits the fan? Yeah?
Quite a few.
Yeah? What about up here? I know these are the folks here who are kind of at the top here and maybe get a little bit of interruptions at dinner time. So down the line, I mean, Brad, do you still get these phone calls at dinner? Oh my gosh, something's gone wrong. on the IT side. Has that changed from 18 months ago? What's your experience recently?
So they're not phone calls.
They're not phone calls.
But
What are they?
They are messages. And I think for the role in running critical infrastructure for the United States capital markets, and then also being a supplier to most of the countries' exchanges around the world, we're the largest infrastructure provider, absolutely have to be ready to jump in and show support. So I think it still very much is part of the role, but it's lessened over the last 18 months.
Yesterday, when we met face-to-face for the first time, we were talking about, obviously you work for a retailer. Thanksgiving is a very busy time for you all. Right. I guess, how has that differed? Is the holiday season as nerve-wracking for you? Because I know kind of the volume coming in through your back-end systems must be higher.
Right, absolutely. So Tractor Supply, we've got about $6.2 billion in sales, and on a growth path this year. We're continuing to open new stores. Right now we've got over 1,500 stores throughout the U.S., and we're adding about 120 stores per year. That's roughly 150 million customers that are going to walk through our doors this year. And during busy holiday periods, that could be the spring selling season, or certainly day after Thanksgiving. The ability for the infrastructure to scale to support those higher transaction volumes is really important. And in particular, we do a lot of work throughout the year just to make sure that the systems are always ready.
How early do you start prepping for kind of the busy holiday season?
January 1.
All year.
It's all year. I mean, it doesn't stop. And we use a number of different tools to generate high load on the systems and periodically test to make sure that we're always ready.
And being ready, the role of CIO, the role of CTO, it seems like there is some convergence happening. And we had kind of been riffing on this idea of, does CIO mean career is over? I mean, if you're just focusing on running computers, John, is that the place to be right now? I guess, how do you think about this idea around?
I think it's really simple. If you don't know what your business does, if you're not helping them drive revenue, if you're not connected to your customers and helping them be successful, you're not needed, right? The public cloud's here. We can run infrastructure anywhere. We can hire VPs to run infrastructure. We don't need a CIO to do that. So it's all about getting involved in the business and helping the business be successful, which starts with the customer.
So does that mean helping drive revenue? That's not necessarily the thing that I, as a business reporter, think about. The CIO is not necessarily the role that I think about for that solution. I guess, at what point did that become a reality in this world? And at what point did you see it in your experience in this role?
I think most of us run services today. We're not running back office applications. We're actually part of the business. If I look at what I do, what my team does for Bottom Line Technologies, we are delivering the service to the customers. And if we're not on, the customers are down and there is no business.
And delivering these services, you talk about the change from back-end infrastructure to actually delivering services. Vijay, at Northern Trust, did that mean kind of a rethinking of who is helping you, who are on the teams? How does that shake out in terms of the folks who work for you?
Right. So teams certainly important, but just back to your original question about CIO and his career over. I think purely from an infrastructure perspective, I think career will certainly be over if the leaders of infrastructure and operations don't prepare their organizations for bringing the Amazon effect into their data centers. And I'll clarify what that means in a second, but we're in the middle of tremendous change in the infrastructure space. Every single architecture that's been established over the past 10, 12, 15 years is under threat. It feels like the late 90s, early 90s, Novell Network transitioning into Windows. Novell Network, quick show of hands. Novell Network. All right, so we got a few people. For the rest of the folks that are millennials and are kind of scratching their heads on Novell Network, I totally get it. But back to the Amazon effect in the data centers. I think being able to reduce cost, do things cheaper, faster, more reliable, and being able to, kind of getting into that habit of doing that consistently, like Mark was saying, there is no end to that. I think if you don't position yourself to be able to replicate that within your data centers, I think career is definitely limiting, if not over.
And when it comes to positioning yourself, how does that? Has there been a repositioning of the people who work under you? Have you had to rethink how your teams shake out?
Absolutely. So we have essentially changed our buying habits. Northern Trust, 100% of our private cloud is built on converged, hyper-converged, engineered systems. We have a single cloud platforms team, for example. We moved storage engineers into it. We moved network engineers into it. They support the whole stack, single vendor. Nutanix obviously is a big part of that. And we have actually driven tons of efficiencies, resource efficiencies, time to market efficiencies. So the skill set of tomorrow for infrastructure folks especially is really multi-skilled. And you're really looking for the stars in your organization that you could retrain. Somebody who's got strong Linux skills and retrain for network, for example. So we've done some of that, and that's worked out really well for us.
And we will get to talent, but first, help me understand the time horizon. When did you start changing these teams around and kind of reshaping what they look like?
It's been a painful 2 years. I see a couple of my folks here.
Why painful?
Because change, you're used to doing things a certain way, and your engineers are used to doing things a certain way, and that's the most difficult part of this cloud transformation is the people part. I think the technology, there's a few options out there, but the people part is so we've been doing it for about 2.5 years.
And so we talk about this fast change. We've talked about how you kind of integrated now into the performance of the business, maybe more so than before. Brad, when you are with your contemporaries in the C-suite, your other executives, are you hearing different buzzwords? Are they asking for different things these days than, maybe your typical C-suite would have asked years ago? I mean, you've been in this business a while now.
Yep. Thanks for pointing that out. So let me say a couple of things about the role. And it very much was predicted that CIOs would go away, that role might vanish, and it hasn't. So technology, as we all know, all businesses now are more dependent on technology. What has happened, and it first happened in the Bay Area, was the CTO role was really the one that built the product. So if you're in financial services, it's a technology-enabled product, so you really are building the product. So that acknowledgement, and in some of the firms, CIO is both the CTO, and in my case, it's the CTO role and the CIO role. So Barrett up there that was on the video is more doing a lot of the traditional CIO role. So once you start to realize, and I love Mark Leslie's discussion about strategy and having strategy and thinking about where the business is going in the future, if there's an acknowledgement, and I think now most businesses have your peers understanding that you're building the product, you're part of the product, and that is really motivating to the technology organization. So when you cross that point where people acknowledge that the engineers and the folks are building the product, it changes how you work together elbow to elbow. It's where you sit in the strategic planning part of it. And there was something else. We had a private session with Mark Leslie yesterday, and he said the core enabling growth engine is the technology itself. So you need to, as the CTO or CIO, be looking at that core technology and have an opinion of where it's going. And that's the main role that I play today, is I'm the educator of my business peers to say, timing is really important, because if we get the timing wrong, like the iPad was really just a tablet, and we saw tablets in 2000, 2001. HP got the timing wrong, but it ultimately became a transformative piece of technology. So I think that is really important, knowing what the technology is, communicating in a way that's kind of relevant for your business and the product, and then having an opinion on timing. That's where I'm seeing it change over the last couple of years.
And for the rest of you,
go
ahead.
I'd add, I mean, there's a lot of buzzwords out there, containerization and, gaining greater agility.
But and are these coming from your execs? Are these the things that they are asking about?
Well, what I was going to say is what's really important also is security. The integrity of the systems, that they're secure, and there's having a great focus on that, and making sure, and it's really everybody's responsibility, making sure that the systems are secure. And I would say that's one of the discussions that frequently comes up.
And that became even more of a reality, I feel like, in the past couple of years. You see your CEO's heads on the block if you're at a Target and there's, a customer information breach. How has that changed?
Yeah, in particular, so Tractor Supply is the largest rural lifestyle retailer in the U.S. and, with an example would be like credit cards, right? An EMV for retailers right now, EMV deployments is critical, and customer data is very important, especially. We've been in business for over 75 years. Customers count on us, and we can't break our promise to them.
And Vijay, I know you had an interesting sign outside of your door that we talked about, and it changed recently.
Yep.
Can you kind of explain that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So back to your buzzword question, and I'm going to link the two. I could probably throw tons of buzzwords out there, but the one, the most important kind of feature or buzzword that my team is after is really reduction in time to market. I think that's the one ask from the business, from our application development teams that we're constantly going after. But to that question, I used to have a sign a few years ago on my board outside my office that said stability over speed. And I felt really proud of it. And whenever anybody came to me, I used it as a guiding principle. Let's be stable, let's be slow. And I struck out the over speed, and it's stability and speed now. And the way you get the and speed part is, getting standardized, stacked, convergence, automation, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been a big change over the last few years.
And speaking of changes, I spent the last week in Silicon Valley talking to a lot of startups. I always ask the question, what do you think it's going to be in 5 years? Public, private, hybrid? It seems across the board, the smaller companies, a lot say all public cloud. But, my past covering enterprise tech, there's lots of push of hybrid or private, especially for some of the financial services companies. John, what is your take on this? Where do you think things stand, and where does hyperconvergence kind of play into this conversation?
Yeah, I think there's an absolute mix, right? If you look at us, we provide services to hundreds of banks, to lots of corporates.
Sensitive stuff.
It is. And what you see is them trusting a provider that specializes in that area. So we act as a cloud provider in a specialized area for specialized industry where we're very strong, where we bring value to that. Now, public cloud has a great role. We all look at things like Microsoft for Office 365, for the innovation. We can offload things that are non-critical to our business, that don't add value to what we're doing, but are needed. And I think that's the real value there. And then it becomes, a cost-speed decision. What makes sense for us economically, and what gives us the agility and speed to deliver what we need to for our business. And we'll make decisions on that. You'll use tooling, like Nutanix or others, to accelerate what you do in-house, and you'll use public cloud where it makes sense.
Brad, NASDAQ, depending on the day, like 10 trillion in companies listed on your marketplaces globally. Does that play into the conversation around this? How do you all think about?
So the business where we're the provider of technology to other exchanges, Singapore, Hong Kong, a lot of the regions of the world run our software. I would say the U.S. is way ahead in cloud and adoption of cloud. And so looking at as a global deliverer of technology, I see that there is a huge wave that is going to come where the rest of the world starts to catch up.
And you think that there is the tide to you feel it with your customers who are
Yeah, we see they're really starting to perk up, whereas a couple years ago they were locked down, said regulators would never let them go to the cloud. We now see FINRA in the U.S. going all to the cloud. The new CAP platform, which is a consolidated audit trail, is going to be all cloud-based. So there's no longer this, regulators won't let us do it. And then it's a question of what should go there. And I think the first for financial services is going to be a little bit slower, but they will definitely, for innovation, put out your acceptance testing. Your DR is going there, and then the big, when we talk about the future, the machine learning and putting together the data that you need to have that's yours as well as a partner's. You're not putting it. You can kind of never get to the right solution if it's like, we'll put our data in your data center, or you pull your data into my data center. You just kind of get to a stopping point. So the cloud allows you to have a neutral meeting zone. So I think a lot of the next-gen sharing of data and data and machine learning that requires massive amounts of data will happen in the public cloud. But I like the comments yesterday about we've been here before from Satish. He's going, hey, don't get fooled. It's not all going. And I think that is where we will absolutely want to have a partner like Nutanix who's thinking about, it's not their products today, but it's changing the future. And don't believe everything we've got today is the end, because we'll be here in a year and 2 years, and we'll be thinking about this question differently. So I would say it's certainly going to be a global move towards more cloud, but the data center as we know it will be a critical part of our infrastructure for a long time.
And to your point, and Vijay's point to a certain extent, Mark Leslie had that great slide about operationally driven versus opportunity driven. Yep. And I think this kind of plays into, a few of the topics that we hear a lot in your world are innovation, operational efficiency, security, and how those all play together. And Glenn, you touched on it a little bit. I guess, what is your thinking around this operationally driven, which can kind of be short term, versus opportunity driven, which is, taking a longer term look?
Well, so from my point of view, I think you can have the best of both worlds. With the enterprise cloud platform, we're gaining the agility, we're gaining the reliability, the performance, which means less outages, some of the strain on the team in terms of day-to-day operational issues, which ultimately gives us more balance for team members, which is important for our mission values.
And what do you mean by balance?
Just good kind of work-life balance and reduction in some of the operational activities and day-to-day heroics that go into maintaining the systems. So we've seen benefits through migration of our workloads to the enterprise cloud platform. But in terms of cloud, I think there's a number of benefits that you can get for cloud as well. So like for retail, where we've got transaction volumes that are significantly higher at different parts of the year, we leverage the cloud to provision additional resources on demand, scale up through the busy periods, scale down when we don't need that capacity, and you just pay for what you use.
And John, you seem to be nodding at the idea of work-life balance.
Yeah, I think it all applies, right? And I think to your point, you have to have both. You have to have uptime, you have to have security, and then you need that just to be in business. And then you need the innovation to drive yourself forward. So balancing all that. In the meantime, keeping track of staff that are dealing with work-life balance, that are dealing with juggling priorities across multiple customers. That's a lot of work, and it's important. If we're successful in it, and quite frankly, we need to be relevant, then we help the business.
And Brad, we had an interesting conversation earlier about kind of this dichotomy between short-termism and long-termism, which, in my world, covering public market companies, comes up a lot on the CEO level and the high-end strategy level. How is it manifesting itself as CIO?
So I think the obsessive focus on operational efficiency is short-termism. So I think that and you have to have a structural plan to deliver the fundamental benefits of the lowering cost of compute and storage. So that's what you're advantaged by being a function where legal and HR and finance don't have that lever. So we should be thinking and knowing and counting on that occurring, but I don't think that's the role. And oftentimes, if that's where you're at with your company, you're probably not going to be around very long. And I think what Mark Leslie said, that's indicative or synonymous with almost activism. You're really just taking away the future of the company if you're giving in. Now you have to deliver that. Every budget season you get your CFOs doing their job by beating you up, but you have to have a long-term structural plan to deliver that, not taking it out of the height of the current operation. So I would say that is the innovation piece is really the job one, and if you're not doing that, then you kind of have to work your way up to it. So if your systems aren't available, you're not going to be talking innovation. If you're not delivering cost savings, you're not going to be talking innovation. So you have to walk up that stack, that hierarchy. That's why I like the hierarchy of needs, to become self-actualized. That's the ultimate goal. You need to know if you got to feed don't go after the tiger. The tiger sandwich or the tiger burger. So
in our last minute here, I want to kind of just run through and see what you all think will be the topic du jour at the next .next conference. BJ, do we want to start with you?
Okay.
What do you think is going to be on top
So
of the line?
I'll answer in two parts. First part, if there's any golf lovers out there, I think next year we'll be talking about how Northern Trust is now the sponsor of the FedEx Cup. It's our first year next year.
Plug.
So I'm going to plug that in there. It's our first year. We're going to sponsor the FedEx Cup in the New York, New Jersey area. So I'm sure the golf lovers will be talking about that. But on the technical front, the topic will be around robotic automation, smart systems, more focused on data centers, because as folks adopt these architectures, the possibility of a robotic machine handling some of the day-to-day operational tasks and alerts, we're experimenting with some tools that do that, because we've done a great job with automating provisioning, middleware and databases. And I think that's really the next level of efficiency. So robotic automation, smart systems that can take over data centers, or at least a portion of it, is my...
And John, quickly, 20 seconds from each of you down the line. What do you think it'll be?
I think it's the next step in hyper-converge, right? If I can converge compute and storage, why can't I converge network? And why can't I converge the security tool set that I need to make that successful?
Glenn?
I think it's going to be partnerships. Nutanix is almost maniacal about listening to customers, listening to feedback, and just continuously driving improvement in their products. And I think partnerships are going to be very important in this ecosystem. So I think we'll continue to see more there.
And Brad?
So I would have to say machine intelligence, deep learning, and then your businesses, if you have any data, are going to be asking what platform do I use to deliver some new value that's latent in your business because you generate a lot of data. So I'll go with deep learning.
Well, thank you to our panelists. Thank you all for joining us, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your time here at the conference in Vegas.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our morning general session. Please head to your breakouts starting at 9:40. Channel partners, please head to .now at the Encore in the Brahms Room. We'll see you all back here at 5 p.m. for David Blaine and Dr. Gates and our surprise ending that you won't want to miss.